Well, a very good afternoon and welcome to the Major League events here at Thunderbird Show Park, and it is part of our big week here, starting Grand Prix qualifier, and this big class with $140,400 to be exact attached to this one here this afternoon. And with you see the start of the rundown for our start list of this class, those featuring from Alexis Sokolov to Grant Segar of several well represented for Canada, of course, with Nikki Walker and Sam Walker as well, their relation, and several of those also featuring the world's top 10, including Conor Swail of Ireland, who very much is here at T-Bird. So a little rundown there of the total of those in this class here this afternoon. And first up, we head into the arena with this course set by Olaf Peterson Jr. Time allowed of those coming up is 72 seconds around the track that is for this qualifying class, 37 in total here. So a good sweeping line to start us off on a good rollback here for our first. And with an early rail down. So good one to get them in their stride. Just an early second rail coming down for them so far. A little bit of idea of time as well. And starting us off with Luis Gerardo Castaneda Mercado and Untakeable of Mexico. That's the last, and just another time at 70.51, but a couple down on the way for them. And so looks at least the 8 faults in there. Little look at the replay here. Just cuts down short. You just drift down that line and just loses a little bit of balance and control down that line to add a second. So 8 faults, 70.51 for the first out of the starting blocks. Big week here, as I say, with team competition tomorrow as well. Grand Prix on to Saturday night too. And there we see Ken Farrington and Gray. This very good young horse that's come through, and one good national Grand Prix in Wellington, Florida earlier on this year. And coming now, stepping up into this 5-star level. Saw them last year in some of the 2-star sections. And so with Greer for Kent for the USA. Also onto his own team, Team KPF, as they are now this year. 8 teams in all for the team competition. And a horse to say has been great experience down in Florida. And this is when this horse can really start to fly. Hannah Robson alongside. Hannah, he had a terrific year last year, as many will know, and I'm looking forward to see how this horse goes this season.
Yes, absolutely. Kent had a fantastic season on the Major League circuit, not only on that circuit, of course, but throughout the season. And this was a horse really, really exciting for him. He actually won won one of our 5-star Grand Prix and placed in the top 10 5 times. In Major League Grand Prix last year. This horse, Greer, just a 9-year-old, and as you say, this is one that he rode in some of the 2-stars earlier on in the season last year. Was second in the 2-star Grand Prix in Ottawa, but jumped in the 3, 4 and 5-star classes earlier this year in Wellington. So far this year has a 69% clear round rate.
Well, and adds to that at 66.47, easy enough for Kent Farrington and Greer. So looking forward to seeing more of that combination through the season. Yeah, as I say, this is the qualifier for the Grand Prix to come up later on this week. That goes across 2 classes as well, also coming to our team class, because that will then determine the order for that Prix as well. How you perform during the week also feeds in to into the Grand Prix as well, and that's going to make it a little bit more pressure on, but also rewards the consistency too. So 66.47 for Kent Farrington and Greer shows the time is achievable from that point of view. Erin Ballard now, and Gakia for the World Championship rider from Tottenham, riding for Lanfurda, and the S imports of Royal Palm Beach. Erin, hugely experienced, also going to be onto the same team as well there for the Canadian.
Yes, exactly. Goes on to Team Helios. I spoke to her earlier on today, and she's very excited to be joining that team. They've got some fantastic names on their squad, some young faces on the team as well. Certainly a very exciting team to keep an eye out for tomorrow as well. Of course, last year's winners of this leg and winners of the overall season. But Gakia has been jumping brilliantly for Erin. They were third in the World Cup at down in Texas in December, and jumped well in the 5-star Grand Prix in New York in September last year as well. Just had one down, but another horse that's been going well this year as well. And as you mentioned, of course, this was her World Championship horse.
Absolutely. So bringing out the big guns here. She was previously last year onto Kent Farrington's team. This year making the move onto Team Helios, which is going to be really interesting to see. A few changes that will guide you through over the next couple of days as well. Little plank on top there at the Major League fence, but they take it with a great from that point of view. And then the traditional part of the canoes, the kayaks at the top, and then this rolling line. Oh, and that just rolls off. That was pretty light touch, but a little bit of spin there. Just gets them on a rolling run down to the finish with 5 strides down to the last, to a 150 vertical to finish off. Just leaves them on the 4. Similar time to Kent Farrington at 66.87 for Erin Ballard. And yeah, just tickles the last bit of that, rolls off that pole there, going into the double. Lovely arenas here at the Thunderbird Show Park, celebrating its 50th anniversary this year, so a big golden year for them, started by the Tidball family, of course, and still very much with Jane at the driving force. This was started by her parents, and with a whole plethora now of top class arenas. It's grown and grown further again over the winter from when we were here last year.
And interesting to have the team competition on this sand ring this year rather than the ring that we had last year.
Yeah, 2 weeks of big competition here, not only with Major League here, but also Nations Cup next week as well. So it feeds in to 2 massive weeks here and brings out a strong, as you'd expect for Major League to start us off. Mario Delaurier, World rider again, World Cup winner, and the very good Emerson that he's been bringing through over the last few seasons for the Wishing Well farm of Sands Point, New York. Very accomplished again.
And again, as you say, you know, experienced rider and a horse that's gaining more and more experience as well. They were 10th in the World Cup at down in Ocala earlier on this year, and they're looking at 52% clear round rate for the year to date. I quite like looking at the clear round rates for the year to date, because, you know, that's a little bit topical, tells us whether they're on form or not, I think.
Well, yes, rolling into here. I mean, of course, a lot have come through in Florida. Strong run there. They then taken a little bit of a breather between the ends of March, early April there, and now into the spring circuit. So no, getting the power to try a little on this one through the season. Bardolina here too, of course, as well. His championship horse took that one right the way through to the Olympic Games, of course, in Tokyo. Just holds up there for the plank. Just doesn't quite have the result at the Oxer. Drops into that. And so we'll leave them on the 4. 67-67, 4 for Mario Delaurier and Emerson at this stage. So Kent Farrington, the only one producing the clear. They've gone close with him on time, but had fences on the way. Just cuts in there and doesn't make the width across the Oxer there for Mario and Emerson this time. Emerson, though, just more and more coming through to these big 5-star classes. Got some good experience last year, and I would think will be in full flight this season. Looking forward to that. Lacey Gilbertson, talk about someone that was in full flight, had a tremendous run as part of Major League last year. That was really highlighted at the American Gold Cup, where she finished on the podium there with Carlin van Vinderhoff for the Seabrook LLC of Lake Forest, Illinois. And she's continued that run of confidence through Florida as well, as she's finished well into the 5-star classes there. So she's certainly been given plenty of run for their money through the winter.
Yeah, I think you're right. You can really see the confidence developing as Lacey gets better and better results as she just continues through her career, really. And Carlin is a horse that has been a fantastic partner for her so far. Had some really good results so far this year as well. They were second in a 3-star Grand Prix in Lexington, second in a 4-star Grand Prix down in Florida. Had some wins in some 4-star classes in Florida as well earlier this year.
Yeah, Lexington good for this combination. They finished in that big night class there after the eventing in front of a huge crowd there, which was great to see. But just as you say, riding with so much confidence here. Okay, couple down this time, but I think we'll see a lot more of them this week. But has grown and grown as a partnership. Just gets forward to the plank.
They're also pretty impressive in terms of their clear round rate, but actually when you look at their clears excluding time faults, they are even stronger as well, so a lot of clear jumping rounds. Yeah,
finishing on 16 there, not their usual round there from that point of view. Just gets deep into that one and doesn't make the width, and just hangs the legs onto the vertical. Just got a little forward through there, maybe just playing off a little bit of rust from the last few weeks as well. But unfortunately leaves them on a surprising 16, not their usual round, as say, for Lacey and Carlin van Vennerhoff. They'll put that one to one side and go to Andrew Bournes now. Andrew with the sea top blue. He's been his very good Grand Prix ride, big Grand Prix winner in Wellington, Florida before now. Was on the winning team here in terms of the Nations Cup last time around for Ireland here in Vancouver as well. Should be, again, very much at home here on this, one of the top combinations by Chaco Blue.
Yeah, again, they've gone really well earlier on this year in Akala, placing 8th in the World Cup there. Plenty of top placings as well, being on the podium at the back end of last year down in Florida as well. They actually performed well here in the 5-star Grand Prix last year as well. Put a couple of fences down, but certainly plenty of promise, so it would be interesting to see how they fare then on the sand surface compared to the grass arena. But as you say, went well in the Nations Cup week, so certainly a horse that performs well on a variety of environments.
Yeah, a little change onto the surface this year between the 2 weeks. We had pretty wet weather last year. Glad to say the sun has decided to be kind to us this year around, especially for the 50th anniversary shows here at T-Bird. Nice flowing round so far for Andrew. Just got to be careful not to cut in too soon after that Oxa. Just gives a little touch going in, but should be okay. Just says wait. And there we go. So gives us the second of our clears at 67.07. Time good as well. And so Kent Farrington clear, and now Andrew Bournes joining the clears as well. So it gives us 2 out of the early lineup of this class here this afternoon. 1 for Ireland and 1 for the USA. $142,400 to be absolutely exact. So Andrew looking calm, relaxed. Well, I say chilled because it's a warm day, but pleasantly warm day. Vanessa Mannix and Carmela Z, in fact. I think we're going to have Ashley Vogel. A few little changes around into the order. Ashley Vogel of Wellington, Florida. Mandiba AGZ. Trains with Shane Sweetnam. Went very well again this year in the under-25 series down in Wellington, Florida. Was top of that. Went fantastically there consistently. And has been balancing up with studies at Miami as well. Working in graphic design and advertising down there. Various sections in that ilk, and looking forward to how she turns that into a career after that as well. But again, has been managed to keep up some top class riding, as say, topping that under 25s too for her. So another one on this big jump in grey.
Another one who jumped in the Kentucky Invitational, the 3-star Grand Prix there, and just had the one pole down, but a strong performance. Certainly also another one to keep an eye on as she heads on to the Spyco Spies team this year.
under the tutelage and guidance of that team of Shane Sweetnam of Ireland. Of course, Shane, American Gold Cup winner. Just coming home on the 4, gets a little tight in there for them. And good to the last. Again, good distance down there for them. Should got a nice natural distance run down to the last, okay. And they do, just finishing on the 4 at 67.83 for Mandiba and Ashley Vogel. Kyle King and Chess. Kyle with the Chess group ride from Ocala, Florida, who we've seen go so fantastically well in California before now at the Desert Horse Park too, and onto those podiums before too into Traverse City. This was a horse that was with Nick Delaurier before, but now been about 12 months or so with Kyle King establishing this partnership. Of course, Nick also got some very good horses, including Cornet's Cambridge, that he's competing with at the moment. So this one moving over to Kyle at this stage. Just jumps across, just made a move out to the right there.
Yeah, it's a horse that covers the ground well, and we see the horse, jumping well in quite a few competitions. They were in the top 10 in 2 of the 5-star Major League classes in California at the back end of last year. Also this month, earlier on, they were 6th in the 5-star Grand Prix at San Juan Capistrano, so a good result there for them as well. Had a little bit of a tricky time here last year. They rode in the team competition and had a couple down. We will wait for the team squads to be announced for tomorrow's competition.
Yeah, but we'll give you a little bit of rundown of who's on what teams this season as well, to just give you a little bit of an idea, because of course some of them have done some changing around, some of them have kept a few of the key players, but also just made a shuffle. It is on 8 there, 69.98 for Kyle King and Chess this time. Leaving us at the 2 clears so far, with Kent Farrington, Gray, Andrew Bournes and C-Top Blue at the moment to duke it out. Just tries to turn up tight to that plank, and it just gets a little bit tight for them. Unfortunately, so leaves them with 2 down on the 8 faults. Shauna Cook of Canada and Gallup from Sherwood Park, Alberta. Shauna, another regular here at the show park. Again, good opportunities we roll into town for some of these riders to get a spin into these big 5-star heres onto home ground, which is always a much better feeling. Shauna, who was also competing down in Thermal, going well in the early part, or rather, early part of this year into March.
And it's nice to see some of these riders as well that we saw last year in the 2-star competitions now stepping up to the 5-stars, and Shauna is one of those. They were in the 2-star Grand Prix last year at this very show. But yes, they performed well here in a 3-star Grand Prix back in the summer, and yes, did very well in Thermal earlier on this year. Had a little bit of time stepping down from the 5-star level, but nice to see them back up to these competitions now. Their last 5-star was September 2021 actually. Ugh, what a pity, just takes the last. Well,
just leaves them on the 469.01 for there for Shauna Cook and Gallup. They'll gallop into a decent placing at the moment for them. Top 6 for Shauna, with 2 clears at this point. Of course, money down the line as well. $142,400. Often that's Grand Prix money for this afternoon. So it just shows you it's worth definitely getting a fast 4 in there to get a good placing. Shauna Cook goes on to Alison Robitaille now. And Alison from Upperville, Virginia, with Oakingham Lyra. Building up a partnership with this horse. Alison, who returned in recent years to the top level, has won pretty much a long list of Grand Prix around the world, both in the US and in Europe through the early part of her career, and now really returning into the top flight with a fantastic string of horses, and this one that's really sort of been coming through the last 12 months for her as well. Good to see her onto a team this year too. She's going to be on to Kent Farrington's team.
Yeah, and this is a combination very much on form. They've been jumping fantastically since January. They've been second in a 3-star Grand Prix in Wellington just last month, placed in the top 10 in the World Cup at Akala as well, then jumped well in Thermal earlier in the year as well, but very impressively this year so far they're looking at 80% clear round rate. It's 8 out of 10 in the top 10, excuse me, and 71% clears, so 80% top 10 is a pretty impressive record. It's certainly looking very good around here as well, and with a few withdrawals and only 2 clears so far. George will be hoping for a good start. Be interesting to see how the KPF team do this week. Of course, they had some tricky performances last year, but had some very exciting ones as well. Of course, winning in Ottawa, so certainly be interesting to see how this new squad fares.
Just catching that one down the line again. Just pace starts to catch them down there as they go on to 466. 14-4 for Alison Robitaille and Oakingham Lyra. There's our 13 of 37 on the original order here. But I say, really nice developing partnership into the 5-star level. Good to see Alison back into these ranks. No trouble at the last. Just leaves her on the 4 faults. In fact, the fastest of the 4s goes into 3rd place at the moment, so looking at a potential decent paycheck there as well. We'll see yet. Lily Keenan, Agana Van Het Garandel Z. And for Lily, terrific run through the winter in Wellington, Florida, and in recent weeks onto the winning Nations Cup team for Team USA for that Nations Cup in California as well. Back onto the team. She was on the teams at the tail end of last year as well, onto the Trailblazer squad. And during that time, we saw her win the Grand Prix in Monterey as well.
Yeah, great win there with Queensland D. It was a very difficult Grand Prix. We only had 3 clears, and Lily was the fastest of those. Very, very impressive. Of course, Agana Van Het Garandel is the horse with whom she won the World Cup leg in Las Vegas as well. But she's had some great results, 4-star Grand Prix, 3-star Grand Prix in California, as well as performing well in Thermal. She was 3rd in the 5-star winning round class there. But lots and lots of top 5 placings really at the very top level for this combination. Such an experienced pair. Rolling
along nicely so far. Good confidence with Aggie to take on a big track. This should suit them here this afternoon. Big tracks they've jumped this. We'll just see down. This last line's caught a few so far just as they get rolling down there. Okay, just gives herself a little bit of space to come down to this double. It's a nice clean shot down there. And there we go, very well done. Lily Keenan and Agana so will progress to the jump off as well. I said it should suit them, so we add another one in there with 3 on the clear list at this point. Lily Keenan and Aggie through alongside Andrew Bournes and C-Top Blue, Kent Farrington and Greya as our 3 at the moment.
Great lineup for the jump off.
Yeah. We've got a few more to add in yet.
I would think our next rider has got his eye on a spot there as well.
Yes, Conor Swail coming up. Of course, has been a long time now into the world's top 10. And very much at home here. Had a wonderful run here back into 2021, if I remember right, when things were still a little bit tricky in the world, when we had World Cups and all sorts here. He was winning, 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 winning and winning. But wherever he heads here, we are always seeing him into the winner's circle. Count me in is one that can never be counted out. I know that's an easy line for the rider based down in Wellington, Florida. Conor, again, has had some good success over the winter, as you'd expect for a man that's up in the world's top 10. Had a couple of sticky moments, but I think very much back on track now. Had a little run into some of the shows into the spring series just to get the train back on the road, and I'm sure is back ready to get the winning formula again.
Yeah, I'm sure this has been a great horse for him for some time now. Of course, his horse for the World Cup finals last year as well. But yeah, very, very successful down in California earlier on this year. Also successful run in Florida, as you mentioned. But at the back end of last year as well, they jumped well in places like Geneva. Also jumped well last year in the Rolex Grand Prix of Aachen. There are very few places that they haven't performed well
Yeah,
in.
exactly. I mean, yes.
Last year in the Grand Prix, the 5-star Grand Prix, this pair just had one fence down. And they were 19th. But Conor placed in the top 10 in 4 of the Major League 5-star Grand Prix last year as well. So really pretty consistent and absolutely key member of Team Eye Candy last year. Also now makes a move though.
Yeah, he makes a move over to the Trelawney Trailblazers.
Which is looking like a pretty impressive team.
Well, he's one of those big strikers that you want to grab if you were going with a football reference as well. You want to grab someone in that's going to be scoring big results for you. Can he pull off a good individual result? It's a good shot in here. And there we go. Easily enough. Doesn't cause too much disruption for Conor Swail, and so there adds to the clears now too. So it takes us up to 4 of those, but a strong 4, and not hard to pick out really out of those that we've seen so far, of those with a good form. If you look through the form book, as we've given you a little bit of an alluding to, those are the ones you'd hopefully be picking out. If we were betting on this, well, they'd probably be pretty short odds from that side of things. But the good thing is they then get to duke it out in the jump-off. Roll your sleeves up, get the job done. Conor Swail in there, Jessica Mendoza, and play for the British rider that's now based here in the, well, she's based down in Wellington, Florida, but also been competing here along into Canada before now as well. Play being another one that's really stepped up nicely into the 5 stars for Jessica, and has really started to build a really good string of 5-star horses around her once again from that point of view.
Yes, this pair were very impressive in the WEF Challenge Cup earlier this year. They were second in that competition. She's jumped this horse in 3 5-star Grand Prix down in Florida already this year. And this is a horse that she's been riding since about the middle of 2021. This one was with Angeli von Essen of Sweden earlier on. And this year so far, their clear round rate is about a third. But as I say, jumping in plenty of the 5-star Grand Prix, so having good performances in the qualifiers to get them into those top competitions. Jessica, of course, hugely successful as a young rider as well. Multiple medalist in the Pony and Junior European Championships for Great Britain.
Oh, just got a little stuck into that double. Just going to be on the 4. Time is 70.22. Jessica Mendoza and play really developing nicely, as you say. They really started to get into their stride through Wellington, Florida this year, just especially towards the tail end there. And a little bit of a spring hiatus. And now right back into the thick of it on the 4 faults. Just there we see coming into the double. Just trying to see where they made a little bit of a move to the right, but just came up short for them on the spread. Shane Sweetnam out to the blue SCF. 2 greys that he brings here this week. James Cancruz as well. This one from the Spy Coast farm that he's worked with for a long time now. The owners of this horse and one of the top breeders here in the USA as well, with some fantastic lines there. And again, this is a horse that's been coming through with a bit more experience into this level yet, unlike, you know, James Cancruz, is only 10 now, but has already got an American Gold Cup behind him. This horse is now just starting to follow on in the trajectory.
Yeah, Shane's had some really exciting younger horses that, as you say, have been extremely successful at a young age. James Cancruz very much one of those. Out of the Blue is still a 9-year-old. Been in the top 10 5 times this year in competitions that they have competed in, and they're clear, approaching 40% of the time. They did well in a 3-star Grand Prix down in Florida earlier on this year, but Shane's had a brilliant run of form himself as a rider. He is currently 10th in the world rankings.
Nice forward run so far. Again, the distance is coming up pretty well for most of them. Just down here it's just been a bit tricky for a few. Another one that just cut short out of there and leaves them on the 468.31, and it is just one down for Shane this time around. 160 spread on the knock, so 820 on that one stride distance. Just thinking about that vertical coming up afterwards, just to respect that, and unfortunately just leaves them coming down a little bit sooner than they would like coming out of that double. So leaves them on the 4. Shane Sweetnam making their way now for a local combination in Tiffany Foster and Northern Light, but a world-class combination in terms of a rider with the Artisan Farms Northern Light. And Tiffany, who was actually has a base not too far from here, was brought up around here as well. And for her, this is a lovely home ground. Often family coming to see. Actually, her mother is very much involved in the events here at Thunderbird as well. But world and Olympic rider.
Yes, Rio and London Olympic rider, of course, World Championship rider last year as well, that being with Figor. This pair jumped really well in Thermal earlier on this year as well, and did very well in the World Cup leg in Toronto. This year so far they've had quite a good number of clear rounds, been picking up a few time penalties, but certainly not looking like something that's going to be a problem today. Such an experienced rider, and as you say, so nice to see her on very much home turf. Home sand in this case.
Good shot through there. There we go. Very nicely done, Tiffany Foster and Northern Lights. Plot their way around without too much trouble. Gives us the 5th of the clears so far of this $142,000 5-star Grand Prix qualifier, part of Major League here this week, and the 50th anniversary of T-Bird Show Park. So on the clear for Tiffany, and again building this world-class lineup: Tiffany Foster, Conor Swail, Lily Keenan, Andrew Bourne and Kent Farrington as the clears at this point. Down to a nice relaxed walk on the way out.
Absolutely beautiful setting here with the trees all around these arenas, and fantastic light here actually when the sun is out. A little bit of a difference to last year, but it really is an absolutely stunning setting, and the facilities are just second to none for the horses and the riders as well. Nice to see a few faces in the stands. No doubt we'll have those packed out for the team competition and the Grand Prix.
Absolutely.
Actually, plenty of other entertainment on offer as well for some of the weekend competitions. So a great opportunity for a day out if you do live nearby.
If you don't, come anyway.
Exactly. I just thought that. If you don't, then make the journey. It's worth it.
Absolutely. Some of us didn't come from down the road. But it's very much worth the journey. And you there watching on, as you say, the main key points this class in lead up to the big classes for the week, and then into our classes tomorrow for the team competition, and then on Saturday for the Grand Prix as well. Just walking up is Alexis Sokolov of California, Hot Horses Calciat EBZ. And the pairing we saw go very well in California last year. And has been under the guidance the last few seasons with Conor Swail as well.
Alexis actually had a really good performance earlier on today in the 5-star opening, the warm-up class, the sort of welcome class there. That was with her other ride, Fossile de Seigneur. Had a really, really nice performance there. And she's got these 2 horses now that she's been really developing up to the very top level and getting better and better results.
Absolutely. She had some strong runs into last year as well. So for really just coming into this level into 2022, really into her first few of these big 5 stars, then came out strongly, especially into sort of March time of this season. And with Calciat EBZ on to the team for the Northern Lights this time.
Yeah,
generally a Canadian-dominated team. But
Alexis was on the Roadrunners last year, and she made a couple of appearances for the team, but certainly she made a mark when she did. She got them into, or helped them get into the top 4, which she jumped particularly well for them, as I remember, in Monterey.
Yeah.
But she had a fantastic performance with this horse. You know, you touched on before in California. She jumped clear, just picked up 1 time penalty in a really tricky Grand Prix to finish 5th. Grand Prix that was eventually won by Daniel Coyle.
Now keep the balance down here. Yeah, she does. There we go. 68.92, Alexis Sokolov and Calciat EBZ coming out strong this time around. I think it's going to be a big season for this rider. It's going to be really interesting to see. Gained confidence now. Got those early debut rounds out of the way into the 5-star level. And now due to come out strong. Gets a lovely elevated shot down there. And last, just bounces through, no trouble at all. On the clear to go into a very strong group of clears so far. So Alexis is clear round number 6. Grant Segar next, and based down in Aiken, South Carolina for Grant and Catocini. On to the Crusaders team this year. Another new face onto the teams this year. He actually has been on to some of the US teams last year as well. Internations Cup, competing over in Europe as well. Also had the bases down in Texas, now into Aiken. And another that was featuring down in Florida in the winter months. He says with air, speech marks. I don't think the Canadians up here would call it winter.
Yeah, a little bit of a change down there. The riders chasing the sun, going down to those top competitions. But this horse, it has gone well. He actually also rode this horse in Europe a little bit at the end of last year and jumped quite well down in Spain as well.
Just gets a little stuck in that, deep into that triple bar. Doesn't quite work out.
Crusaders certainly will be an interesting team to watch this year. This is the team who changed all 6 riders at the halfway point last year. Some teams not making any changes, some making a few, some making all.
Yep. Well, it happens in other sports as well. Football, baseball. Ooh. Another one just getting a little hung up into that line as well, and it's going to be 2 down. It's 8 there, 66-76, 8 for Grant Segar and Cantuccini as we approach the halfway stage of this class so far. Little revision with 6 clears at the moment. Got height there, but not the width at the triple bar. And so we're going to take a little breather. I think we've got some arena maintenance coming up, but a reminder of the clears at the moment. Ken Farrington, Andrew Bournes of Ireland with C-Top Blue, USA's Lily Keenan with Ghana, Conor Swail currently in, Tiffany Foster with Northern Light, and the most recent being Alexis Sokolov and Kelsey at EBZ. There they are, confirmed up on your screen as the clears so far. 2 of those for the Trelawney Trailblazers as well, with Swail and Keenan. Kent Farrington for Kent Farrington's team, and then Ireland, Canada, and then for the Northern Lights, Alexis Sokolov of the US, the Californian with Kelsey at EBZ, our most recent of the 0 scorers of that group as well. 6 of them so far as we hit the halfway stage. Will we double it up to 12? Oh, well, we'll find out in a few minutes' time, because the arena crew heading on in now. And we're going to give you a little breather for a minute. We'll be back in a few moments' time, but you'll certainly be back, because if you want to see some top-class jumping, Conor Swail against Tiffany Foster against this group, it's going to be worth coming back for. We'll see you in a minute.
So you know exactly which rail was on the top. That was on the top, exactly. So you put the other one.
Well, welcome back, and still with these to come into the second half of this Grand Prix qualifier. Nikki Walker will take us back in 2 for Canada, in fact, with Sam Walker to follow. Karl Cook of the USA, Kalinka, lovely to see that Grand Prix winning combination back in the fire of Major League. Caitlyn Campbell and Amir, Dara Kenny, and the upcoming California Pie. Ali Ramsey, part of the Northern Lights team this year as well. Daniel Coyle of Ireland. Cara Chad representing the home nation, as will be Alicia Gadban-Lewis and beneficial Santiago Lambre, many-time Grand Prix winner for Brazil with Jador. And then into the latter part, it is Canadian Olympian Amy Miller and Truman. The very good Charlotte Jacobs of the USA and Edo Center combination have been really coming up through the winter months and competed well last year on to Nations Cup. Caroline Winnie makes her debut onto the tour with Baccarat Chamfos and Jordan Coyle. And for gold, a horse partnership they've been developing over the winter as well for the rider who's been the Grand Prix winner here at Vancouver last time around as well with Ariso. Different setting this time onto the surface. Part of 2 weeks of 5-star competition here at Thunderbird. The show park this time is swathed in warmth and in sunlight and in a gentle glow all around the arenas. It's keeping up with the T-Bird orange here. And lovely to say that after last year where it was a little bit, very bit damp around the edges. Nikki Walker this time with Excellent B. Nikki, who's been already a Nations Cup rider for the Canadians, and another one who had a good run down in Florida in the early part of the year. Finished off with a 2-star Grand Prix there, and that followed on the back of a good run in Canada at Calgary. Quite a few miles away, of course, further into Calgary at Alberta, which is closer to her home bases too. And Nikki, who's trained through to the 5-star level, gone well in Nations Cup and World Cup before now. And coming onto the teams this year too, part of the Canadian generally looking team for the Northern Lights again. Good forward, confident run so far for Nikki. Time will I just remind you of 72 seconds. Just goes to cut in there and unfortunately just loses the balance on the corner and takes the plank with them. Good solid run then at the Oxer at the next. Quite a few that have had the back bar of that Oxer off as well, so takes them on to a score of 8, 68-36. A couple down for Nikki Walker this time, and Excellent B. Looking good there, and again just taking a nice calculated slice off the corner, but just goes to cut in, and it just gets too tight for them, and just as they stretch out there, cuts just a little short over the Oxer. On the 8 faults for Nikki Walker and Excellent B this time. 6 clears, just to remind you, we've talked about those already, most recent being Alexis Sokolov of California, Kelsey at EBZ, Sam Walker. Now on to Team Helios this time with Nalu Quality, which is going to be really interesting to see, from Forest, horse owned by Forest Hill Farm of Nobleton, Ontario. Comes over towards his home ground in Caledon. Sam, who's been building up new string of horses over the last 12 months as well. Again, really put those into action down in Florida this year. Working with Olympic rider as well, Uli Kirchhoff, through the winter months down there too. Of course, he and Dad very much a fixture on the circuit. Last year, remember, he was only still into young riders, winning a team bronze there for Canada over at Traverse City, which of course is our next stage of the series. Just keeping a little of that exuberance under control. Little buck and a run there. Better rhythm through the double again, just holding for this last big vertical. Going to leave them on a couple down as well. 8 faults, 69-48 for Sam Walker and Nalu Quality this time. 23% out of 24 rounds in terms of clears for this combination, which again, with the horse that's only just getting the exposure into the top level is not bad at all. Should be Karl Cook up next. Yes, that looks like his ride. Kalinka van Zorgvliet, as we saw when they went on to win the Grand Prix. Hey, she can be a little full of beans. She went on to win the Grand Prix at Desert Horse Park. He won at the Hampton Classic last year as well. He was on to the team just a few weeks ago with a squad there for the US in California. And the US team won on home ground in Nations Cup. But she has certainly got the jump. Karl back onto Team Helios again this season under manager Ashley Bonds. It was very much a partnership of a team there. They very much melded as a team last year. A few changes this time around as well, which will be interesting to see. So Sam Walker, as I mentioned, is coming onto that squad as one of their under-25 riders. The under-25 riders also feature as part of the series, and it's a great breeding ground for them to be able to develop their skills. Here's already with Kent Farrington, Andrew Bournes, Lily Keenan, Conor Swail. And looking good again for Karl Cook and Kalinka. Don't be fooled by the bouncing and the kicking out to start with. Once they are out on course and running, they are very much in the clear round county. So, 7th clear with Karl Cook and Kalinka van Zorgvliet. Just to put that into a stat, 70% of the time out of 70 rounds they've jumped clear so far and into the level. So Karl Cook from California goes into the mix too as the 7th clear round at this stage. Caitlyn Campbell now, based now in California, as she has been for a few seasons now. SWS Training and Sales EMEA. Seen her feature onto the teams before now as well for Caitlyn. Of course, into the 3rd year of Major League Jumping. Designer Olaf Peterson, that sweeping line to start them off. She started off onto the East Coast before making the move over to the West Coast a few seasons ago. Another one who had a good set of results out of San Juan Capistrano at the Nations Cup there just a few weeks ago, out on the turf. And then there's another that spent their winter at the Desert Horse Park in Thermal in California. Of course, where the last 2 stages of Major League will take place. $1 million a week for those 2 finals, for teams and for the individual final as well. That's into the prize pot there for those 2 finales, taking the season into account. And nicely down to the last, just on the 5 there as it walks, finishing on 4 faults, 71.76 for there for Caitlyn Campbell and Zamia this time around. So just missing out there. And we'll be seeing them onto the Roadrunners team, which again is a predominantly Californian-based team, but it does bring in a couple of big guns from the East Coast as well, with the likes of McLean Ward stepping into the team once again, and Adrian Sternlich. So we're looking forward to seeing them in action. See them onto the later stages, because we don't see everybody at every single stage of all of the teams. They mix and match through the season, but that's part of the strategy as well, as where you're sending out your team riders, how it fits in. Dara Kenny, California Pie. I think we'll see him for pretty well majority of the season. Trinoli Trailblazers he joins on to once again. Now California Pie is another one more coming into this level, owned by Karl Solak of Wellington, Florida. Just jumped 6 rounds at this level so far. Again, much of that coming into Florida in the early part of the year. So 50% is the strike rate so far, but it's only 3 out of 6 at the moment. Just going to leave them on the 4, so Dara Kenny just going to miss out with California Pie. And again, it's going to be another notch in their experience for those two. 67.92 is the time, so just on the 4 for Dara. And so just missing out on that group in the top flight. Money-wise, he just gets into the top 12 there. And so just in for a little bit of cash at the moment from that point of view. But the hard-fought part is going to be the cash at the top end of this, with 7 clears at the moment. And Ali Ramsey on course with Bonita, 48% out of 85 rounds. Plenty of experience for Ali of Canada from Victoria here in British Columbia. And Ashley Vogel comes alongside me. Ashley, what did you make of it today?
I thought it was a good course. I mean, I just had the back rail of jump number 10.
Yeah.
I could have maybe helped him out a little bit more, but I was really happy with him. He jumped well.
In terms of what we've seen so far, as we've seen the clears coming out from generally a group I'd have expected it from.
Right. Yeah, there's definitely been a good group going clear for the jump off. I'm excited to see Swailer, Kent as well, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good jump off.
In terms of the latter part of the course, 11A, 11B, that last double, the ox from the back there has been coming down quite often. What's been the talk down there?
I definitely think it's riding a bit scopier than we felt when it walked. My horse happened to jump it actually quite well, but it's getting a lot of people. It is a little bit scopy out, but I mean, it's
you just want to say go for a stretch.
Yeah.
Let's see down here, Ali Ramsey down this line. She tackles it fine. The last coming down there, the 5, how does that come up on the finish?
Yeah, so you mean the last line?
Yeah.
I did the 5 for time allowed, but a lot of people are opting for the 6.
Yep.
I'd say that you might not see as many 5s. I just have a really large strided animal.
Yep.
So it's much easier toward the end of the course to do the 5 with him. However, the 6, it gets a little bit steady and it's to skinny, so it gets a little short toward the end of the course, especially after they stretch out over B of the combination. So it's tricky
you're thinking about that a little bit. You're pulling back in case you wanted to, just having that back bar.
Yes, you're thinking about it a bit.
Daniel Coyle of Ireland on to the team for the Roadrunners this time around, Gisborne VDL. And again, this you were following down into Florida this year. This was another pairing that really started to step up and get some great experience. 56% of the time jumping clear out of only 12 rounds at the top level. Went really well into the Grand Prix. They're owned by Canadian ownership with Ariel Grange from Cheltenham, Ontario. Daniel, the Irish rider, never to be discounted here, but this is a pair that just built right the way through the winter.
Yeah, I love watching him and what he's done with this horse. It's also amazing to watch what he does just flatting around in the FEI schooling ring. He really has this horse marching at all time because it is a big horse.
Yeah.
So I love watching him when he is flatting it.
What do you pick up from that?
A lot of things. He uses a lot of leg, and his leg to hand is just absolutely incredible. He's a great rider to watch, whether it's in the ring or outside the ring. I really enjoy watching him.
Just a little cut in there, and does it with very good accuracy. Now again, just got to take care at this final part. No trouble at all for them.
Goes for 5.
Yeah, she goes 5. Easily down there, no problem at all. 70.07 for Daniel Coyle and Gisborne VDL. He got that little cut in there, and actually looking at the time, what time allowed 72, he did need a little bit of that.
Yeah, so he definitely rode his track and is playing very well. Walked the 5 as well.
There we go. So Daniel Coyle is going to be in that group of clears now. That's going to take us up to 9 of those at this point. Building up for a bigger number into this lineup so far with Ali Ramsey in there, as we saw, and Karl Cook. He gave us the 7th of those. So Daniel Coyle, Gisborne VDL into the clear list. For you, I was talking a little bit earlier on from your point of view, under 25 riders competing in Major League. I mean, you had top of the under 25 this season down in Florida for a terrific run there. What is the importance, and how does it help you?
I think the U25 series, especially during Florida, where it's a very big deal, I think it's a great series.
And then translates into this.
Right, for sure. So it definitely gives me experience and exposure about being competitive and walking into the Major League, especially with the team event that they have, getting a taste of what it's like to be on a team in Nations Cup format. It's nice to go in here. I've yet to go jump on the team for the Major League. Yes, the first one I won't be on the team this week, but in further ones in the summer, I feel very comfortable going into them. So I think the U25 did a very good job at that.
Training under Shane Sweetnam, you're going to be watching there, seeing how it's done, and going, okay. I mean, you've seen a few now.
Yes, for sure. So I've definitely had a close eye in the Major League. I was supposed to do it last year as well, but non-riding related incident. But I'm really excited to give it a try this year. But I think it's a very cool concept. It's been running so well. I think it's brought a lot of attention to the sport, which is amazing.
Cara Chad of Calgary, Alberta, the Canadian, with Kirdamo F for Cara. Again, one of the local combinations featuring as part of this big 5-star this week, but another one that's really capable of pulling off a big result here.
Right.
For you, going back to, you were talking there, you spent a chunk of the series last year out with injury. You've also been studying as well, and all the other things you've been doing. So fitting it all in has been a little bit harder. Now you've got a little bit more time in the camera.
Yeah, I definitely, now that I've graduated and I am back to my normal self with riding. I definitely have a bit more time now to focus on this as well.
Looking good for Cara Chad. Like I said, it's not a surprise to see her pull off a good result, and just came so nicely down that last line.
Right, for sure.
69.55, and puts her on a clear there as well to take us into the next of those double figures with Cara Chad. What did you make of Cara's round?
It was very good. The horses, I haven't seen it jump too much, but I really like it. It was done very easily. She rode well.
We've got a few of the other younger riders coming up, getting through to the under 25s, and a couple just a little beyond that now. But I'm going to skip past the experienced Amy Miller, but to Charlotte Jacobs and Caroline Winnie that are in there from that point of view. You've been obviously competing against them through the winter and last year. What are they like? Right,
so Charlotte's been super competitive on the horse that she's doing in this class. It's a big, scopy mare. She's put in a lot of great results. She jumped some of the 5-stars this Wellington, and she's done it really well. The horses and her are a very consistent partnership, and I love watching them. It has a huge stride on it, so it'll be interesting to see what stride she's going to do in this. And Caroline Winnie, she is very competitive, rides under Jess Mendoza. She's had a good run. She's definitely up and coming as one of the good riders. I think we'll see her on the team this week as well, which will be interesting to see. Especially with this horse she's doing in this class. She's been very competitive with it as well. She's a fast rider.
One that's not up and coming because he's already coming, he's already there, is Santiago Lambre and J'adore. And again, he's really keeping off the pace up there off the corners.
Yes, for sure. Santiago's a very fast rider, and I love watching him too. He's hard to beat in some of the speed classes.
Just gets a nice cut inside there. Just keeps a nice tight line. Oh, he's going to hang on for the 6. There we go.
Very
He still gets the
nice.
job done. So it is now another of the clears with 11 there. 3 on the bounce there with Daniel Coyle, Karachad and Santiago Lambre. We've seen once again, as you say, lots of Grand Prix for Santiago
Yes,
already under
many.
his belt.
Yeah, he's also another phenomenal rider to watch. I love watching him. He's quick, so it's interesting to see what he's going to do in the jump off.
Well, I was going to say as well, and you see how that translates for someone like him naturally into the team class. I mean, that's right up his street. You'd want him on your team.
Right, for sure.
Santiago Lambre into the rounds there, but he's riding individually here for Brazil. But that's the type of rider you want on your team. And Santiago Lambre heads on out to make way for Alicia Gadban-Lewis of here in British Columbia, Delta, British Columbia, with Beneficial. Another rider that again got more experience through Florida, riding here under the Canadian flag. And again, she started to get more into those, towards those Nations Cups and so forth for her. Once the course itself here, Ashley, that Ollie's built, he's given you a good shot at making a good round here.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's nice how it starts from 1 to 2. You have to really think about time allowed in those 2 verticals. We're coming over here to the forest ride, which I think is a bit more forward than it walks. We come around to the triple bar, which is big enough, scopy, and then you have an open line to the short 2. Short horse jump, lovely.
Yeah.
This turn's a bit blind for the horse. They don't really catch their eye on it that much, but they're all jumping it quite good. Little outside track in the 7 here to the play. Just touched it there.
On the 8 at the moment for Alicia. Just trying to hold up there to get the 6 down the line. On the 8 it's 67.12, 8 for Alicia Gadban-Lewis and Beneficial. But again, she's another rider that doesn't get so much exposure into these 5 stars yet. Not a bad round at all.
No, I thought her horse jumped lovely. Not a bad round at all.
So Alicia on the 8 full. Reminder of those on the clears so far. We've got Ken Farrington, who will be early out. Sandra Burns, Lily Keenan, Conor Swail, Tiffany Foster, Alexis Sokolov, Karl Cook, Ali Ramsey, Daniel Coyle, Kara Chad, Santiago Lambre as the clears so far. But good results as well in these qualifying classes. Count towards you and that the team as well for your position where you go into the Grand Prix as well. Looking forward to that. So all of this counts. Consistency is key. And the consistent Canadian is Amy Miller, and Truman's a number of times been on the winning teams for the Eye Candy squad. This is the Olympic rider from Perth, Ontario, for the Millerbrook farm, of course, for the fabulous Miller family that are legendary in Canada and across the world. But for Amy, for her here as well, it's good to get back on home soil for a big 5-star for them.
Yeah, for sure.
Eye Candy squad, that's very similar this year. Their squad as well is going to be really interesting to see, again with Paul O'Shea,
Yes,
one of the
for
key members
sure.
there.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting for the Major League this year, this summer, to see who comes out on top. The Eye Candy team, like you said, hasn't changed a lot. I know Helio's changed a bit.
Yep.
They've lost some riders, they've gained some new ones, so it'll be very interesting to see how everything works out.
And it'll be very interesting to see how some of those teams like Helios play it into the second part of the season when you get past the transfer window. Do we see people like Eugenio Garza back onto the squad for the latter part, etc.?
Guess we'll find out.
We'll find out. Anyway, to follow along. How do you feel? I mean, Amy Miller going very nicely here.
Obviously, she's a beautiful rider, and she knows this horse like the back of her hand. Very nice round.
There you go. Lovely. 70.03 and taking us up to a dozen there with Amy Miller, clear with Truman. How do you feel as a younger rider competing against someone like Amy with lots of experience, Kent Farrington? Okay, Shane's on your team, but are you looking forward for the team competition if you get into a one-on-one against, say, a Kent Farrington? Do you get nervous of that, or are you thinking, oh, come on, bring it on?
I don't get nervous as much, but I think it's a really cool experience, and like you said, it's a lot of exposure.
Yeah.
I mean, in these kind of classes, you're competing against some of the best riders in the world, which is just a really unique experience as it is for the Major League, so I'm really excited. Hope maybe that'll happen. We'll see.
It might well happen. It might well happen. Charlotte Jacobs is onto the Crusaders team this time around with Edo Sento. We talked about her a little bit earlier on. Was on to the Teams for Nations Cup. That's the US squad into Europe last year. And through Wellington, Florida, got into their first real 5-star competitions and really started to find their feet at the end of season as well. They were going really solidly. And again, in some of the Grand Prix, remember an early one onto the grass, she had a really good placing there. And she's going to be coming to this season confidence. And she was the one I was picking out as a bit of a dark horse throughout the winter. And I think this is where she could shine.
Right. I mean, Charlotte's a great rider, and her partnership with this horse is incredible. I have to say I really like this horse, as it's quite similar to mine. They have quite similar strides, but she rides it so well. She's had numerous results on it. She knows it like the back of her hand as well. Especially this winter, she was jumping clear round after clear round, which is unreal.
Yeah, been great consistency from this pair so far into 2023. Tight. Ooh, she's got quite an outside line there.
Yeah, big stride on her.
Should hopefully eat up this last line. Play a little safer down to the last. It's going to take them close on time. 71.05. I was going to say watching them around. The time I wouldn't say is over tight, but you just got to keep moving.
Right, I thought that was a great round. Very smooth. The horse jumped phenomenal. Close to the time allowed, but she does know the horse and what suits this horse the best, especially doing the 6 home. But overall, very good. It'll be great to see her in addition with the jump off.
Yep, gets married in a few weeks as well. Be nice to get a good result. Good result there. Matt watching on. Caroline Winnie, we mentioned her a little earlier on as well. We're moving on to her from Woodside, California, Baccara de Archambault. Again, younger rider from that point of view, is really just full of confidence and has gelled with trainer Jessica Mendoza, and both have that fast attacking style. So she's going to be really fun to see in the team classes as well.
Yeah, she will definitely be really fun. Yeah, she's a very good addition for the team. She's a fast rider. Her and Jess Mendoza, they're both very brave. But I love watching Caroline ride, especially on her Stella Vista horse, her little gray one. She's put in a lot of results in speed classes on that horse. So
bit built for this team competition coming up this week. You say, I think that there's one or two of the young riders will be seeing how it works this week. You'll get the experience this week, and then of course next stage you've had a few months to get to that one then, because it starts Traverse City into August as well, so a little bit of a break there. Caroline going solidly so far. Another one down that line. Going to put her on the 8, 70.24. Just cut in on the fence with the canoe tops.
Yeah, just tapped the back rail of that Liverpool Oxer, and as well as the B of the combination. But I mean, that's coming down a bit for everyone. It's what's riding very scopy, but I think she should be happy with that. I mean, she rode very well. She
did, and I mean, this is a good move up for her. I mean, she's been very well at the 3-star levels, moving into a few more 4 stars, moving into the 5 stars is a new group for her.
Yeah, it's a great experience for her.
Just coming into our closing groups here, 13 clears at this point. Looks like Patricio Pasquel there of Mexico and Chakalou PS. There we go, the bell goes. Patricio, and again, he's hugely experienced rider right the way through to top championship level for the Mexican rider. And we saw him make him a few appearances into teams even before now, but riding under the Mexican flag here today. And of course we'll have quite a few riders through the week are on teams, those that are competing individually. Of course, some massive Grand Prix this year, some big steps up in the prize money, a number of those including the American Gold Cup, and of course the final individual stages. There's the individual ranking for the series as well.
So he's on the team tomorrow for the Major League, correct?
I think he's on I will check. I haven't seen the list yet. Because of course we'll have a number of riders here that are competing, not onto the teams that will be part of this as well. But Patricio individually here. Should just be okay. One of the very few having that last fence down. So unfortunately for Patricio, just drops that down on the 4. 70.04.
So close. The rest around the horse jumped great.
And he really worked down that last line to try and get that done.
Right.
You're onto the Spy Coast team this year. Who's on your squad?
We have Jordan Coyle, Lacey Gilbertson, Cheyenne Sweetnam, and we have Margie and Daniel Cairns, which is, I think, going to be a great team.
Yeah.
Little different from last year, but quite similar.
It's different but similar.
Different but similar. Some new additions.
There's some Sweetnam in there, of course.
Yes. So, yeah, I think tomorrow on the team it's going to be Jordan, Lacey, and Shane.
Okay.
Which will be great. I think they're going to be competitive.
Yeah.
And start off the Major League on the correct foot. So we'll see. Well,
one win in the bag, done, dusted, straight out of Vancouver. Thank you very much. Francisco Pasquel Vega also competing individually. And from Mexico City with the dominant 2000Z. Super shows that's been down in Mexico as well in the build-up through the winter season too, which has been a great ground, training ground and competitive ground for the riders competing here. So the Mexicans certainly coming in ready and firing to go.
Right. Friends definitely jumped some great rounds in this horse. Unfortunately today he just had the first jump down, but him and this horse, they know each other quite well.
Always that frustrating part of the first fence down. 4 faults is out of the money now, unfortunately, with 13 clears. And again, there's still a big Grand Prix to come this week.
Right.
Over 400,000 in that. On to Saturday. Just coming home on the 4. Again, they're just struggling with that back bar there.
Right, yes. Fortunate because the horse jumped well. Other than that, he did ride really well.
Well, 2 down, including that first fence. One of the very few to have number 1 down on the sand, I'm afraid, for Francisco Pasquel Vega. And dominant 2000 Z for them. So they sit on the 8. Just leaves us, I think, 1 or 2 left to go in the first round of this Grand Prix qualifier. Looks like Tyler de Jong heading in now for the rider from California with Valiant de Bellevue. Hailing from Colorado, of course, competes a lot in California. And with them, they've, again, Desert Horse Park, where we've seen a lot of their results, into some of those World Cups throughout the winter, of course, into Vegas and so forth. Another of the young riders through, and again, she had a good run into the tail end of last year to set herself up for 2023. Let's see how this combination goes this season.
Ooh, just tapped the first jump as well.
not on the teams, but for this time around. Early 4 for them. Again, this all good experience for her, getting through. Again, just coming into the early 20s, just a little touch.
Pops for the 5.
Yep, confidently more down that last line.
Right.
Just finished on the 4 at 67.90 for Tali de Jong and Valiant de Bellevue. So she drops onto the 4, just I think the one left to come in the first round. 13 clears at this point, the most recent being Charlotte Jacobs, of course, with Ido Centre. And just leaving Jordan Coyle left to come with the Falkirk Farms 4 gold, which has been a newer ride for him from that point of view. And again, just started to get to grips with that and did well at the tail end of Florida, back at the end of March. Going to be really interesting to see, because it's a very different horse to Jumping Ariso that he won the Grand Prix here with last year.
Quite the opposite, I would say. I've yet to see this horse jump too much, but I think that he might be planning on doing the horse tomorrow for the team event.
Yeah. Jordan, you mentioned, from his point of view, highly competitive.
Yes, he is very competitive. He's gotten a lot of results. Yeah, and this horse is actually it's jumping quite nice.
Horse has been a Grand Prix winning horse before now up in Traverse City. Jordan adding to his armoury of horses for the season. Might yet get a good test out on the tail end of this class yet, we'll see. Would be last to go in that jump off. Ooh, wait. Sets up. There we go. Goes down on the 6, 68.78. And Jordan Coyle going to round it up with the 14 into the jump off. So that should complete our first round of this $142,400 Grand Prix qualifying class. Ashley, thank you very much. Let you escape for the rest of the day. Good luck. And here we go. This is what the lineup looks like. And it is Kent Farrington with Greer, Andrew Bournes and Sea Top Blue. Lily Keenan through with Agana. Conor Swail, Count Me In. Tiffany Foster and Northern Light. Alexis Sokolov, Karl Cook, Ali Ramsey, Daniel Coyle, Cara Chad. There's going to be quite a lot of battle here for some very good prize money. And that is not it yet. That takes us up to 10 of those. Got a few more to bring to you. They are Santiago Lambre in with a clear, Amy Miller and Truman, Charlotte Jacobs in the centre, and finally Jordan Coyle for gold. That is the 14 clears that we see, and so we're going to head down to Hannah as well, who's down on the ground to find out what the riders and the teams down there have been making of that first round. It's not going to be an easy one to win, but 14 of them into the jump off.
Well, Erin, it's been quite a tricky class here, but we've had a good few clears. Just the one down for you. How is it riding in there?
I think that this class really shows us the quality of horses that we have here this year. It's a lot of money, $142,000, but only $1.50 m. So I think that we were expecting $1.55 m. We got a solid $1.50 m course, but when 14 go clear, you know you have a really strong group.
And of course, last year we had the Major League team competitions and the Grand Prix on the grass ring. This is now something a bit different. How do you think that will play out the rest of the week?
I like it. It rides a bit like an indoor, and both of my horses are quite good in small areas, so I'm looking forward to big jumps for the rest of the week in this ring. But I think it's a great start, and it really shows the quality we have here with us in Major League.
And you're excited to start for Team Helios tomorrow?
Very excited.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Here we see those into the jump off. That's the tail end of those coming in of the 14 in total. There we go. And one not coming forward by the looks of it with Karl Cook and Kalinka. Still leaves us plenty to take a run. Ken Farrington with a 9-year-old Greer Andrew so no experience. C top blue Lily Keenan Agana. Conor Swail with Count Me In. And Tiffany Foster Northern Light. Alexis Sokolov. Ali Ramsey. Daniel Coyle. Cara Chad. A few of those waving the maple leaf here this afternoon. And then into our final group that we've just seen down there, that will include Jordan Coyle and Charlotte Jacobs and Amy Miller into the latter part, alongside Santiago Lambre of Brazil to take their shots at the $142,400 to be divided up between the top group. And underway in just a moment's time. Olaf Peterson Jr. just making the final touches to the course out there as we ready for that jump off. And short course of 10, 11, A4, 14. 14 is what was fence 5. That was the Oxer is now, well, was a triple bar, is now an Oxer into the next round. And from there, long run down to 6, A and B. We've got, and then turn back to fence 2, so good spin back that to a 150 vertical, and fence 9, which is the jump off now, is Oxer. Fence 15 is its put, but it'll make more sense when we look at the course. But that is going to be your lineup. Conor Swail, Count Me In, his big Grand Prix ride. A few good Grand Prix combinations here. Daniel Coyle, Gisborne VDL, but the money for this class, it does say it's the Grand Prix qualifier, but for some it would be Grand Prix money through a lot of the ranks. And so certainly worth having a run for that cash here this afternoon. Looking forward to that. There's the final few with Santiago Lambre and Amy Miller, Charlotte Jacobs and Jordan Coyle for gold into the final group. Just a few moments for our first heads out on course. Jordan Coyle, that newer combination together, so just coming into this year as a new partnership. It'll be interesting to see how they fare. Charlotte Jacobs, they do centre. Could well come into their own towards the tail end here. May not be the fastest sprinter, but is a serious clear round combination, and they're just getting in confidence to just keep upping and upping and upping that speed now to take a run. Amy Miller with Truman late to go. Keep a close eye on those for the Canadian, looking for a home win here to start off the week well. Say 3 days of big competition in terms of the 5-star. Tomorrow's team event tomorrow afternoon, and then the Grand Prix on Saturday late afternoon as well. I think it's around about 5 o'clock for that one too. And there we see Olaf Peterson just checking a few distances. And then we'll be back underway. Just a little look around. Arena crew just making sure everything's in place. Looks like they're ready. First about to head down of what will be 13. Lucky for someone on this list so far somewhere. For a competitive afternoon of Major League Jumping sport. Ken Farrington and Greer with the 9-year-old to start things away. here we go. Kent, winner of the Grand Prix down in Mexico just a couple of weeks ago into the Nations Cup there. That was with Landon. Credence here this week as well. Lovely to see that horse back out, 16 years of age. Flying along, won many classes. Well, this is the next generation with Greyer. Good performer down in Florida, and now this is going to be their step-up year. We'll see how far. I think Kent will just go for a nice. It won't be slow, but it'll be an economical round from that point of view, with this taking this horse's age into account, I would think. We'll see. So good at just getting a really good forward pace, just like that. Good pace on it. Good slice across that vertical. Back to what's now the Oxer. Just gets a nice lock on it, down the double. He is back now and going. This is just so, like I say, so smooth so far. Looks like just clipped that last fence there. And so it leaves them on the 4 at 38.93, but it's a horse with loads of ability and just going to get that chance now to mature into the top level. Just on the 4 for Kent Farrington. And Greyer to start us off into the jump-off. Hannah back alongside me now. She's made her way up from the arena floors. And Kent starts us off well. What was the feeling down there? Plenty of people to go into this.
Yeah, there are actually. I think the feeling is there are more clears than perhaps people were anticipating. Aaron Ballard saying earlier that actually it's jumping a little bit like an indoor ring there, but they're feeling that they're expecting to see lots of big fences as the week goes on. But she felt her horse jumped well, and I think they're feeling that most of the horses are really enjoying it down there. But yeah, certainly more clears than they initially would have anticipated.
Oh, there you go. Andrew Bourne's now with the now well-established Grand Prix winning combination of C Top Blue. Now again with a few more years on the clock. You see how efficiently, well, both Kent Farrington and Andrew Bourne as well took that line around there.
They're not wasting any time on their lines there, taking that angle across the middle of the arena as well. Nice tight turn back as well.
Good round, 38.24. Similar time to that of Kent Farrington. Kent was round in 38.93. Takes a little bit off that, but of course leaves the last fence up as well. So on the clear for Andrew Bourne to now set the pace for them. I think we could see a little bit more squeezed in there. You got the, an early turn back. Maybe went a little bit wider. But a good round and a good forward round for Andrew. Lily Keenan and Agana increasing their 50% rate of clears so far. Should have plenty of speed here.
Yeah, I think Lily's a naturally quick rider, and this horse has certainly got the pace as well. And with their experience, they've got everything going for them to do well here and for the rest of the week as well. We're very interested to see who the Trailblazers are choosing to field this week. With such a strong squad and plenty of their riders here. She gets away much more quickly there.
Yeah. I don't think there's an awful lot in it. It'd be interesting to see. 38 being the target so far. That was good. Good little turn into what's now the Oxer. And does get away well from that double. But 38, the leading score at the moment. It's going to be a little bit back from that. Going to be at 38.81. Is in the ballpark, but is not as quick as Andrew Burns on 38.24. 38.93 from Kent Farrington, 38.81. So staying in a similar vein to the rest. Lily Keenan and Agana will go into second place so far. Another very good round from them. They're all looking good this afternoon. They're really enjoying it. Nice afternoon. Sun shining. Nice early evening here. 10 to 6 local time here in Vancouver. Into Langley to be exact. Local time. Just down from Vancouver. But very close at hand. That beautiful city of Vancouver. A super facility that's been built up here at T-Bird, and its 50th anniversary this year.
It is such a beautiful setting with the city nearby, and we can just about see some mountains as well, past the tall pine trees as well, just framing these arenas. What a fantastic lineup we've got in this jump off. Really star-studded list. Really gets you excited for the week to come.
So Conor Swail, count me in. This is where they excel. Good slicing shot there at the vertical. Ooh, lands out of the double in 26. It's the trademark sort of float over it. And now this could set a different pace. It's not going to be a big difference. Drops the leg, 36.79. Just falters down to the finish, just on the 4. It was quicker, as we thought it was, but last fence just dips a nervous toe down into there. Just doesn't quite make that last one. Never mind. Going to be the last fence down for them. Gave it a good go. Conor Swail, count me in, 36.79. So, still leaves the door open. Andrew Bourne's in the lead on 38.24. C Top Blue. Conor Swail would have gone into the lead. Goes into third place at the moment. And should be Tiffany Foster of Canada, the Artisan Farms, Northern Light.
Hard lines, he was considerably quicker. Just unfortunate to clip that final pole. I'm sure he'll be very keen not to do it later in the week.
Well, there's a big Grand Prix still to come. That's the way to look at it. If you're not going to win if you don't gamble a little. Tiffany Foster then, and the well-established Northern Light for the local rider. Yeah, to Langley. Good start though. Maybe a fraction more conservative though than Conor Swail's time, but she's looking at the 38s. He was trying to get down to the 36s. Good turn back here will make all the difference. That was a good move away. Not going to be too far away. Just going to be under the 40. Yeah, 38.70. And we'll go into second place so far for Tiffany Foster and Northern Light. So she slots into second, ahead of Lily Keenan on 38.81. Andrew Bournes keeps the lead at 38.24. They're just slipping fractions between them so far. And still Andrew Bournes with the advantage, 38.24, which if you think sounds like a massive amount, it's not, considering that is just a quarter of a second.
Hardly anything in it.
Yeah, just over a quarter of a second, but yeah. If you think you can time that out, then good luck to you. Blink of an eye, something like that. So Tiffany in second spot, Andrew Bournes leading, Lily Keenan in third at the moment. Alexis Sokolov and Kelsey at EBZ. for the Californian rider, the hot horses of Rancho Santa Fe.
Great day at the office already for Alexis, getting into this jump off and placing second earlier on in the day, and she's keeping a pace up, not the tightest of turns back, but she's certainly keeping the pace up. That seems to be the approach she's going for here. Alexis planning to go jumping at some of the big shows in Europe over the summer months as well.
Good roll back there for Alexis. She's competitive. Oh, and just made that little jink to the left. Still not a bad round. 39.28. Gave it a go and just put him a fraction behind with that move. So it is on the 4 for Alexis Sokolov and Kelsey at EBZ. Just try to get the turn in. Just try to straighten up. Didn't quite work out this time. But again, gives them more in the experience bank. On the 4 for the US rider. So still leading Ireland with Andrew Bournes and C Top Blue.
Yes, hardly anything to separate them so far, really. You can see Alexis just easing off the pace a little bit there once she'd had the fence down.
Ali Ramsey and Bonita for the Canadian. See if they can hoist the maple leaf to the top of the flagpole this afternoon. It's Ireland up there at the moment. Canada in second, USA in third. Good moving turn. Now this one as well needs to be sharp.
Had some good pace up though down towards the double.
Good slice across there. This is going to be close. Ali Ramsey and Bonita potentially in the top group. Yep, 37.97 goes into the lead for Ali. Super turn back in that latter part of the course. Got a good slice across there and a good run there at the last. Again, was just making a move across to the right to save just even a fraction of a second. 37.97. A little bit of a ooh and an ah goes up from the crowd down there. A few locals, of course, in to support the Canadian. Always a lovely atmosphere here at T-Bird as well. One of the friendliest, nicest shows that you'll go to. Daniel Coyle, Ariel Grange of Cheltenham, Ontario's Gisborne VDL, Irish rider, Canadian ownership. Still leaves 5 after this.
Daniel always so competitive. He's won a few of these qualifying classes over the course of the season last year.
Got the engine running there on the slice across. That may have saved just a fraction. At the moment we're talking fractions between our top few. Now again, doesn't want to drift too far. Gets the back feet and gets the turn. Handbrake through. This is looking pretty good. 37.97 to beat. It's going to be on the edge of it. 37.59. And so Daniel Coyle will go into the lead. Gisborne VDL. New one at the top with an Irish 1-2 at the moment. Woohoo! Certainly has really built as a partnership. Horse that has been owned by the same owner for quite a while, but now moved jockeys over to Daniel Coyle into this season.
Daniel laying down quite the challenge there that for the rest of them to catch.
Cara Chad, Amy Miller, Charlotte Jacobs, Jordan Coyle still to have a run at this yet. We will see.
Jordan Coyle, of course, 5-star Grand Prix winner here last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see what he does with Vogel. Very, very different horse to Ariso, who's got, you know, a smaller running type. Be interesting to see. We will see in a minute. In the meantime, Cara Chad, the Canadian from Calgary, with Kidarmo S. Daniel Coyle, 37.59. Ali Ramsey, 37.97. Andrew Bournes, 38.24. So Ireland, Canada is the top four at the moment, rotating between them.
Spectators with plenty of Canadians to get behind.
That was a good efficient turn back up to that vertical. Maybe not quite as quick on the corners, but some good routes so far. Again, pretty efficient there. Cara Chad picking up the pace down to the finish. Just maybe it drifts a little down to there. 38.12, still a good round for them. And should take them into third place there for the Canadian. Cara Chad going clear. Yep, confirmed into third. Ali Ramsey in second. Andrew Bournes pushed down into fourth place now with C-Top Blue. And Daniel Coyle leading Gisborne VDL. Still Santiago Lambre, Amy Miller, Charlotte Jacobs and Jordan Coyle. A beaming Cara Chad heads on out.
Such a great way to start the week to get the double clear here, and that would have been a performance that would have taken the lead not very long ago, but this is just getting more and more competitive as we go on.
Yep, that's the way it works. Santiago Lambre of Brazil, J'adore. Is to put them under pressure, gets a good start there, tight up to the wings on the right. Pretty good turn back, just maybe drifts a little there. Now he's getting the pace up again. Good roll. Yeah, just didn't quite have the balance coming in. There we go. Good try. 37.50, and actually would have been fast enough. 37.59 is the leading time. 37.50 on the 4 though for Santiago Lambre this time with J'adore. So still adoring the top spot is Daniel Coyle and Gisborne VDL. 37.59, and still leaves Amy Miller, Charlotte Jacobs and Jordan Coyle. Santiago having a little look around. Gave it a very good shot. Amy Miller, Truman. Looking to put the Canadians back on top. Nice, balanced, well executed, really tight up, accurate shot to take the slice there. Little bit of a move across to the left as well. All tiny fractions all the time, all making a difference. Good shot there. Now keep coming. Keeps the balance off the back end. And this is not bad at all. Amy Miller with a good spot on the horizon at 38.27, and just a second off that leading spot, but 38.27 should put them in top 5. Yes, goes into 5th place with Truman, so in for some good money at the moment.
Certainly looked pretty quick in a couple of places there. That was just a little bit at the beginning part of the course. Could have just saved a tiny bit of time.
Pretty efficient, but it just shows how good Daniel Coyle's round with Gisborne VDL was. Charlotte Jacobs, Ido Centre, being a clear round jumping combination, getting more and more into those big Grand Prix as they did through this year, and then moving up into the 5-star as well. Not to be discounted for a top 5 here.
Charlotte also one of the riders that we're looking forward to seeing on the team competition. As we were saying, had a fantastic run earlier on this year. Very much on form.
Keeps rolling, but a little slower, I think, to that next vertical. Still good. Very nicely done so far. Not going to get to the number 1 spot, but should get a good place. Really nicely done. Double clear, 39.50. And we'll leave her in the money at the moment. And she goes into 8th place for Charlotte. And again, who's smiling. Couldn't be happy enough with that. Double clears in the bag. And another good experience for them. So just leaving one left to come. Still led by Daniel Coyle and Gisborne VDL on 37.59.
Just one person then can knock Daniel Coyle off the top spot.
Absolutely. Reminder to team class tomorrow at 5. We've got the individuals going at 3, but 5 o'clock tomorrow for the team class. Jordan Coyle has ridden a number of the winning rounds in the team class yet for the Irishman on the Spy Coast team with 4 gold. As I say, fairly new partnership. A lot more than weeks, but still only measured in months. Be a Coyle 1-2, we'll see. Now gets a good move away. But again, maybe just giving a little bit more respect to that vertical.
With a relatively new partnership, it's interesting to see how much Jordan's willing to push it at this stage.
Also done a good few Grand Prix and so forth.
Certainly not a rider who is somebody you'd think would be hanging back.
This is looking good. Run down to last. It's not going to go to the lead, but it's going to be a good finish for them and a good building of their partnership. 38.81. And so that will take them to a close. And takes them finally to not quite beat Brother. They go into 7th place. They in fact equal 7th place. They're exactly the same time as Lily Keenan, 38.81. So Jordan Coyle, Lily Keenan in 7th place. Number 1 spot for Daniel Coyle and Gisborne VDL. Ali Ramsey in 2nd with Benita. It is 3rd for Canada. Karachad and Kidamo F. Andrew Bournes and C Top Blue will slide into 4th place. 5th place for Amy Miller and Truman. Tiffany Foster for another for the Canadians. 4 for Canada up in the top 6. Tiffany Foster in 6th place with Northern Light. Ireland again in 7th with For Gold, as is 7th for Lily Keenan of the USA and Ghana. Charlotte Jacobs 9th and top 10 for Conor Swail. Count me in. Conor actually had the fastest time of them all, but unfortunately was counted out with a fence down. So the winner of this $142,400 5-star Grand Prix qualifier, it is well done to Daniel Coyle of Ireland and Gisborne of VDL. We're going to head down for the presentation of the class, and I say reminder tomorrow 5 o'clock is the Major League team class, Premier Equestrian team class, $268,000, and first outing of 2023 of the team riders overnight. You can follow our social media and all the rest of it, and the team's social medias as well, for who will be featuring on their teams. 8 teams in action, as it will be all throughout the season. But round number 1 in Canada is going to start off the pace. Remember, last year's winner were Helios, who then went on to win the championship. Does that bode well? Is it a lucky venue for whoever goes on to win the championship? Join us and find out. But there's the rest of them running down the line for the full filters down of our top 20 in this Grand Prix qualifier. But it's the number 1 spot for Daniel Coyle, Gisborne, VDL. Hannah and I will be back tomorrow. We'll see you then.
And now completing our top three, Chad and Kidamo F. And now, with the ribbon spin and the coolers placed, without further ado, we do have one more favor to ask of our champions, Daniel Coyle and Gisborne VDL, to lead the way around the ring in today's victory ride. And as they make their way by our VIP tent, ladies and gentlemen, once again, your champions, Daniel Coyle and Gisborne VDL. Followed by Ali Ramsey and Bonita VH, Kaiserov Z, and Kara Chad and Kidamo F. The rest of our top 8 placings today were as follows in 4th, Andrew Borns and C-Top Blue. Amy Miller and Truman will finish 5th. Tiffany Foster, Northern Light, that's 6th. In a 2-way tie for 7th today. How about that? Lily Keenan, Agana Van Head Grendel, and Jordan Coyle with 4 gold. And then the 9th spot, Charlotte Jacobs and Innocenta. What a fantastic qualifier we had today. Important points earned heading into the weekend. Don't forget, we have the premier events of our Major League Show Jumping Series coming up, with tomorrow's team event taking place at 5 p.m. and then the Saturday Grand Prix getting underway also at 5. That and more exciting competition to see in this, the 2023 Canadian premiere at Thunderbird Show Park, as we celebrate our 50th anniversary here at T-Bird. Looking forward to seeing you all again tomorrow. Take care, everyone.
We have a new leader.